disaster must come. At best, only postponed. Shaolin Kung Fu, to survive, must now be taught to more young men.
Welcome once again to another episode of Flixx, Kicks, and Flixx, the podcast about martial arts, movies, and life. I am one of your hosts, Eugene Plowden, and with me, as always, my podcast partners, Joe Harley and Angel Diaz. What's up, fellas?
What's up, sir?
What's up?
If this is your first time with us, I want you to know we are members of the Martial Arts Internet Network. On Tuesdays, you got the Inside Scoop with Alex and Jeff. Wednesdays is us, Flixx, Kicks, and Flixx with Gene, Joe, and Angel.
Thursday, we got the traditional way with Brett Shumway, and every other week, every month, one time a week, I don't know, something. One of those. They have the extra scoop with Peyton Fender and Jeff Doss. Yeah.
And sometimes you.
Yeah, and sometimes, listen, man, I jump on there. I mean, who knows? I'm on everyone's show at this point. I don't know.
For more information, you can check us out on all of our social media platforms. Just look for the Martial Arts Internet Network on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Patreon. Fellas, it's showtime. What's going on? Let's talk about our show for this week. Avatar: The Last Airbender, episodes 3 and 4. What did you guys think? Is it still, comparable to the cartoon?
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you, because I've been watching it back and forth a little bit on both. So the cartoons were like 16 episodes, and they were like 30 minutes long. I think the last episode was like an hour and 40 minutes or something like that, because they had a lot of story to tell in the finale. But for the most part, they just kind of condensed everything from the show. And they're pretty spot on with stuff. There's stuff that, they could have put in. There's stuff they took out. But for the most part, they hit the nail on the head.
Okay.
And told the full story for this, this 8 episodes. This one, we're in it's a earthbending city called Omashu. And there's a lot going on. We meet a lot of new characters. Some that are, they're just kind of passing by, and then some that are actually pretty important to the story. Like in this first episode, they meet Jet. Jet is a rebel against the Fire Nation. He's really trying to lead a group of misfits against the Fire Nation, and he probably feels, he saw a lot. I think he saw his family die and everything. The crazy thing is, Jet's a firebender, I believe. Isn't he? Or is he just a martial artist?
I'm not sure. I didn't see him do anything. I don't know if he is in the cartoon.
No, maybe I'm thinking of Korra, something in Korra.
I don't think Jet ever had any bending ability.
Okay, yeah, he doesn't have any bending.
Yeah.
But he basically tries to recruit Korra and everything like that. And then the other character we meet is the commander, Zhao. He's a commander under the Fire Lord, and he plays a big role in this first season because one, he tries to befriend Zuko, but really he just is a dick, and he stabs him in the back. He actually starts working with another character we just get introduced to at the beginning of this first episode, Azula, who I'm interested to see. They didn't really give us much with her character in this whole first season, and I don't think does she even show up in the first season at all? I thought she didn't show up
towards the end. Season. She definitely does towards the end. I think, but her story arc is going to get way bigger in the
next one. Well,
I will tell you this. It's interesting because they had the episode where I don't want to get into it. Let's just say
I know what you're gonna say.
Some of her abilities in the show, in the cartoon, came later than they do in this.
Yeah, I said the same thing. They manifested sooner in this than they did.
Yeah, because it didn't happen to the last 5 episodes before the finale. So some stuff was a little off. But yeah, with Azula, I think they gave her more of a role now because I think they're going to build her story arc in the second season. I think the second season is going to be really big because now for everyone, this is all just reports. I am not saying I know what's going to happen. I'm just going off of the cartoon. I think the second season is going to be heavy on Ba Sing Se. Heavy on
Has
Ba
to
Sing
be.
Se. Yeah.
Has to be.
Well, you think about it. Almost seasons 2 and 3 in the cartoon were all Ba Sing Se.
Mostly, yeah.
Yeah, almost all of them. Half of like season 3 was. So
Okay, but in season 2, he has to learn water and earthbending before he gets to season 3, where he learns the firebending. So
hold on before y'all
it's gonna be a
continue.
lot. It's gonna be a
Hold
lot.
on before you continue. This Aang always seems like he knows about bending because he's telling Katara. That's her name, Katara, right?
Katana.
Yeah.
Oh no,
Katara.
Katara. I'm thinking of Mortal Kombat. Sorry.
He's telling her different stuff when she's trying to practice, right?
Well, I think he just knows not about water bending and earth and all that. I think he just knows the general principles for how to bend.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, like, if she's practicing because she's not that good, sit your ass down and learn too. Like, why are you wandering around? Because every time she's practicing, he comes with some knowledge. Yeah, I caught myself. I caught myself. He comes with some knowledge, and he's spot on with what he's telling her. So my thing is, just do it too. You're supposed to be the one, Neo. Do it too.
Listen. So, no, I'll say this right now. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen the cartoon. Okay, that all comes later. But
I figured that.
They rushed her waterbending learning
way faster.
Yeah, that scroll that she found helps her, but she actually gets a teacher and everything in the cartoon. They rushed it a lot in this because that last fight was later in the show, but like I said, they condensed everything so much, they kind of skipped over some of her training.
Gotcha.
Because she trains a lot longer and gets gets better. She sucked for a long time.
In this series, it made it seem as if I'll put it to you like
went
this.
From beginner to master.
Yeah, I'll put it to you like this, Gene. It was like Karate Christmas Miracle. She kind of did that in this series.
Okay, I'm not making that connection.
The connection of
because remember how he went from white belt to black belt in like 3 weeks?
He was giving himself his own belts. He was just giving himself
like I said,
okay.
She went from white to black in like it. You know what's something I wish, and I'll say this, and not because I guess only because Joe, tell me how you feel about this. Only because it would kind of hush the criticisms that we have and everyone else has about they condense the show so they move stuff up, is I wish they had a timeline like 2 months later, because think about it, you're on a boat going everywhere. It takes you time to get to places.
Yeah.
So I wish they put like a timeline like 2 months later so that we see, because if you don't know that, right? Let's say Gene, he just thinks like the next day they were in a whole nother country. Like
you are 100% right.
You know what I mean? And then Gene, he's like, oh, and then the next day, he's over here, getting kidnapped. Like, it's just happening like that. When in reality, I'm not going to say any smart person. I'm just saying, like, we all know, like, if you're traveling by boat all the time, it's taking you at least a month sometimes to get somewhere, 2 months, 3 months.
Yeah, but Aang and them, they're flying on a giant monster.
And that's what I'm saying. Well,
I don't know what that thing is.
A bison.
Okay.
A flying bison.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying though. So think about that. They're going on a flying bison, which is like an airplane in their time, and then Zuko's over there in the boat and he's catching up to him.
Yeah,
it just doesn't,
Yeah, so it kind of makes everything seem like it's close by each other.
That's what I'm saying. They're like living in like Pangea, and it's really not even like that. It's completely far from it. But I just wish they would do that. They would put like the 2 months time lapse, like a year later, 5 months later, whatever it is. I just wish they would do that. That's something.
Well, they probably should, because I mean, depending on how many seasons they have of this, these kids are going to grow up pretty fast. Like, look how fast the Cobra Kai kids got older, and it was noticeable.
Well, this is my thing. in a way, they're kind of protected. The fact that the kids are going to get older, they kind of want that. They're kind of protected because
Do they get older in the cartoon? Is that a
yeah,
thing?
yeah,
Okay.
because
Yeah.
in the
Okay.
cartoon, I'm gonna say this: the cartoon was smart. Tell me if I'm right, Joe. Didn't they get canceled at one point, or not canceled, but they got taken off air?
Something like that. Yeah.
So I don't want to say
I watched
canceled.
it. I watched it after it was all finished.
Yeah, I don't want to say canceled, but it got taken off air. Like, let's say like I think season 2 ended abruptly. Like it never was like it never closed it. There was so much like unanswered questions, but everyone loved the show that much. So what did they do when they started it up again? They ended season 2 a certain way. So when season 3 started, it showed like a year later or 2 years later. It actually
Yeah, they did a
showed them
time
growing
skip.
up. It showed them
Okay.
growing up.
That,
So
that makes sense.
so
Okay.
in a way, it set the show up to be in a good place for as they get older. That's actually what's going to happen. Things are going to happen, and there's going to be time lapses. So
I'm wondering with the shortened timeline for this. I'm wondering if they're going to do like they did with the original, where they're going to do book 1, 2, and 3, and then if they're going to wrap it up in a movie.
was it a movie?
No, I wonder if that's what this is.
What I
what
think
they're
they'll
planning
do
on
is
doing with this.
you know what I think they're gonna do? I think
'Cause-
they'll do books 1, 2, and 3. Honestly, I think I can see them if 2 goes well or if 3 goes well, they'll do book 4. But then what I think will happen is it'll leave a opening so that way Legend of Korra can start because I think they're
I
gonna
was thinking about that today too.
they're gonna
'cause
have
I
to
was
go down
wondering.
that road. Sorry, so
Yeah.
Gene, Legend of Korra was like after this Airbender series after Aang. Then Legend of Korra was 100 years later. She's the new Avatar after Aang.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they're eventually going to do that cartoon series also. Now, that one is going to be very interesting how they approach that because that had some very dense and heavy topics in it. So,
You know, I would
It
agree with
did.
you that they would do it, but seeing how that they are on Netflix, I don't know because Netflix
It-
cancels a lot of shows
well,
that are popular.
I say they do and I say they don't. I say this is my thing. I think Netflix doesn't doesn't see the value in the longevity of TV shows. So like doing like 10 seasons at 8 episodes each or doing 3 seasons at 26 episodes. I don't think they see the value in that. I think and this is where I think Netflix is very innovative. They believe in like let's hit you with everything that you want to see in 8 to 13 episodes because that's your time frame. That's how much they can keep you going, right?
Mm-hmm.
You figure 8 to 13 episodes could be 13 weeks of a year, right? So they got you hooked in. So I think they would do it. I think what they would try to do is they would just stop it and then that's it. It's done. Avatar: The Last Airbender series is done, and then it'll go to Korra: The Last Airbender, and then then it'll just stop there. I think they would do them like they would purposely do it in only 3 season sets. Because when you look at Cobra Kai, I think 6 seasons was too much for them. I think the only reason why they did 6 seasons was because they didn't do the first couple of seasons through Netflix. It was through YouTube.
Probably so.
I think that's the only reason why. But like I said, I think it makes sense because you think about why sitcoms and why a lot of shows get canceled now. It's because they drowned it out too long. Not everyone, if you watched it 5 years ago, and let's say you were 10, at 15, your preference changes.
Yeah, but when you get to a series and you have seasons, most of the time seasons 4, 5, and 6 are typically the best out of all of. That's like your prime seasons.
You think so?
Right there.
I wouldn't even know. This is
A
like
lot of TV shows, the long running ones, most of them only go like eight seasons for the most part. A lot of popular ones, and when you get to that eighth one, the eighth one is never really good. It almost feels like it's supposed to end now. The seventh one is normally okay, but normally 4, 5, and 6 are normally pretty good.
Listen, the only thing I know is like a lot of sitcoms they try to get to that 100th episode. They try to get to 100 episodes to make it so it becomes a revenue stream that they can always profit off of, right?
Mm-hmm.
The only TV show that I know of that had a ridiculous, and I'm not gonna say the only one, but the one that I grew up watching that had a ridiculous like time frame was Supernatural. That one was just like 16 seasons. Like, and I watched it, and it was 30 episodes every season. And I watched it since like
26, 30. That
what
was
happened?
a good show. that was a good show, and they ended it great.
And they ended it great. They wrapped everything up. COVID actually was the best thing that probably could ever happen to that show. That's the messed up part. But yeah, so like I really think when I look at what we saw in episodes 3 and 4, 3 was about Omashu, and you got to really see the best thing was, I think my favorite thing, Joe, I know is definitely yours, was who Aang got to meet. Even though it threw me off, who Aang got to meet, he got to meet his best friend that he grew up with 100 years prior, which was
Boomy.
What was it?
Boomy.
Boomy, that's what it was. Yeah, Boomy. And he is now was he the emperor or king of Omashu?
Yeah, he's a king.
King. So the thing with him is he is a little on the crazy side.
Not a little, a lot. He's a lot crazy.
Yeah, and it's interesting.
Senile.
It's interesting, but I'll tell you what, that guy was ripped when he took off his
was my favorite. So when I first saw Boomy, I was like, they can't mess this character up, because I was gonna get really mad. But when him and Aang fight each other, I was like, oh yes, they did him good. They did.
Yeah, he was ripped, because in the TV show, Gene, in the TV show, he was probably like the strongest dude out of everybody. It was nuts.
But you know who he reminds me of, Gene? You watch Dragon Ball, right? He's Master Roshi.
Yeah, for real.
He reminds me of Master Roshi,
but
without the pervy.
So Aang and Katara and Sokka, they're trying to get to Omashu. Now, what was it that they were trying to get from Omashu?
They were flying and they saw Teo, and Aang thought that was another airbender. So that's why they went there.
Yeah.
Well, that's why they eventually they went there. But I don't know where they were going before then. I can't remember if they were
going to the north. They were going to the water tribe.
Yeah, they're trying to get to the water tribe. But Teo was flying using a device that his dad made, because Teo was paralyzed, I believe.
Yes.
So his legs didn't work. So that was his way to get around and fly. And so Aang actually, flew with him, using his thing. And then this is important because his dad being an engineer, and then Sokka kind of trying to find himself through that, because he shows some of his engineering skills, discovers that the dad is actually working with the Fire Nation. And he's providing them some of his engineering marvels, but he says, it's okay because it keeps his family safe, but he keeps the good stuff for himself. But later, as we see, they use the dad's technology when they deal with the Water Nation down the road.
Yeah.
So, and that foils Jet's plan later, because the dad finds out about Jet and the plan and all that. And then at the end of the third episode, Boomy's soldiers take Aang into custody, and then the whole episode is Katara and Sokka trying to find out where Aang is first, and then save him from his capture. Which the whole capture with King Boomy is weird, because it starts off with him realizing, oh, it's my old friend, and then he has a feast for him, and everything seems all hunky-dory, and then all of a sudden Boomy kind of turns on him.
I don't think it was that he turned on him. So he was
confused. He didn't understand exactly what was going on, and he wanted to make sure that his friend was still his friend. So he did turn on him, but not in the sense like he's the bad guy.
Well, but he also said, when the world needs you, you were gone.
Well, this was what
he seemed like he was pissed too. So
what I was gonna say was this: the thing I keep noticing, you notice, like with all the avatars when they talk to Aang, you notice with anyone that remembers Aang from the past to now, there is a sense of animosity, because it's like you had a job, you had a responsibility, and you did not live up to it, right?
Yes, I agree with you. What you're saying, and that kind of upsets me when I hear that, because in that first episode, he didn't have any powers.
Yeah,
he was just learning. So if he had stuck around, wouldn't he have been killed too?
Yeah, that's my thing. Yep. And then that ended up getting talked about. If he stays around, he was gonna get killed,
Yeah.
right? So there's that. But the other thing I think what I noticed was when Aang meets different friends or meets different people, it's all these are all the things he would have been learning if he was studying to be the Avatar back then. And the reason why I say that is because you can tell Boomy was. Reason why I say I wouldn't say turning on him. I would say he was testing him and preparing him for what he's gonna face when he leaves Omashu. What he's gonna face trying to save the world. There's gonna be obstacles. There's gonna be tribulations. There's gonna be trials. He has to figure out how to overcome it. And I think it's a way of like almost everybody else is like trying to like mature Aang and make him grow up. That's something that I got from the show and got from
and that's something in the first episode. He had his friend who was holding him back, and then you had the rest of the monks that were like, we need to get him into training, we need to do this, we need to do that, and the other guy was like, he's just a kid. That was the big problem. That was always the problem. He is just a kid.
Yeah.
And so yes, he lived, and his whole race of people ended up dying, but then like he disappeared for 100 years. I mean, this was going to happen no matter what. He wouldn't have been ready. Like, let's say he was there. They would have had to rush him out, and they would have had to go and Yoda, Luke Skywalker his ass until he was ready.
Yeah.
Go hide, because he couldn't have fought the Fire Lord. And until he actually, he's in the same situation now. He's constantly running, because if the Fire Lord was after him, he'd be done. He'd be dead. And then, the Fire Lord was better off with him disappearing, because no new avatar came forth.
Yeah, so for him, it was easier for him to conquer just because there was no avatar.
Like, I'm wondering if the Fire Lord would have just captured him and not killed him, because it would have been more to his benefit. You got an avatar, yes, that you're worried about, but you have an avatar who only knows one bending skill. So if you imprison him until he passes, you're kind of better off. But basically, he imprisoned himself. If you really think about it.
Yeah. No,
if you kill him, then the next avatar, whatever that is, I don't know what nation. I don't know the order. I mean, I'm sure
it would have been water. It would have been water.
Are you sure?
Because Korra is the next one.
Oh yeah. You're right. That makes sense. Because maybe it goes air, water.
I think it goes water. Fire. I think air is the last one. Water starts the cycle. Water, earth, fire. Because you think about it.
That makes sense to me.
What's her name was the earth one? What's her name?
Kyoshi.
Kyoshi was earth. Then Roku was fire. Aang is air. So then water would have been that one.
Yeah, that makes sense. There you go. Yeah. That makes sense.
So what do you guys think what was going on with Zuko and his uncle? Because I was watching this and I'm thinking, are they trying to make me have sympathy for this kid? Like, he is supposed to be the bad guy from the first episode. This is
gonna be funny for you, because if you feel like that now, I'm not gonna ruin anything. I'm just gonna say keep your eyes out for this.
Well, I can already tell where it was going.
His story arc. I'm telling you, you're gonna think you know where his story arc is going. His story arc is very roller coastery. Okay. It just always does this, right? Like Joe, right when you think you know, something else happens.
Well, and that's where they're good at telling this story, because how can you not feel bad for this dude? Because he's in a situation where he wants to impress his father. He's a young kid who wants to impress his father. He's you know who he is? He's Vegeta. Vegeta, he's Prince of all Saiyans. His dad's a bad guy. Doesn't mean Vegeta has to be a bad guy, but Vegeta has to follow in his dad's footsteps.
Yeah, you know what?
Same with Dooku. He wants, huh?
No, I was gonna say that's one thing that always bothered me about Vegeta because that was my favorite character on Dragon Ball.
He's everyone's
But
favorite character. They do him dirty every time.
well, not that. Well, yeah. Well, the simple fact that all the other Saiyans are dead and I'm the prince. uh, Motherfucker, I'm king now. I'm not a prince no more. I'm
True,
king.
true.
I am
You
the
know what?
king.
You're not wrong. I had this conversation a while back with one of my buddies because we were saying the same thing. He always calls himself that, but that's the power that he gave to his father. But Zuko, like I said, Zuko he's never challenged his father. He wants to be just like his father because he thinks he's going to take over. But then the one time he challenged his father's decision, his father basically burns him,
That
almost
was
kills
messed
him,
up.
and then banishes him and gives him a task that's basically, you know, unheard of.
It's crazy
And
because
because
how did he not know that his son would die before finding the Avatar?
he didn't. That was the idea. The idea is if you want to prove your worth to me, you have to do the impossible. He just said to the daughter, this is so the daughter is pissed off because the daughter didn't know that Zuko found the Avatar. And the dad gets the information. The dad's happy about it. The daughter was happy to be rid of her brother. Now she's the favorite, right? But turns out she's not the favorite because the second Zuko does something that he good in the father's eye, the sister gets tossed aside. And that's going to fuel her through the next 2 seasons. You're already seeing it now. Wait
Mhm.
until and you see it at the end of this season, but it gets even worse. Like when her and her brother run into each other, then it becomes a race. It's all crazy. It's really interesting. But what did Zuko get in trouble for? I'm going ahead a little bit, but I don't care. Zuko pissed his dad off because his dad wanted to sacrifice 250 of his own men to get an edge in the war, and Zuko stood up for them.
Mm, okay.
So he's a good guy in a bad situation.
Yeah, that's a good way to say
And
it.
then the whole time he's fighting his good half to impress his father. He's fighting it. And that's where his uncle comes
Hmm.
in because the uncle sees this inner fight and the uncle's not going to push him one way or another. He's going to help guide him to what's right.
Yeah, I kind of noticed that and saw what was going on because the uncle is nice to Aang. Like when they were in prison together in this in
Yeah.
episode number
I
4,
think I think
and he
the
said it's good to
uncle
see you. He
I
said
think
it's
the
good to see you.
uncle I think the uncle his view is his perception changed once he lost his son in the war.
Mm.
Yes.
So then it made him realize maybe war is not the way to go because you only lose loved ones when you go to war.
Yeah.
Well, and like you said, whose whose dream is this being the superior nation? Whose idea is this? It's one person. And does everyone agree with this idea? Or is
Hey,
everyone afraid of the guy in charge?
so now I wonder. I have a question for you, Joe. Do you know this answer? Who is Ozai? Firelord Ozai, was he the son of Firelord Sozin?
Yes.
Really? I was like just thinking, I was like, how did he even get there? Like, why would he carry this out? Why would he not want to change becoming the Fire Lord?
He was following his father's footsteps.
So that's
That's where,
so Sozin
yeah,
was his father.
yeah, they talk about that. Like I think in book 3,
Okay, there you go. That makes
that
sense.
whole story, that whole story gets told. I think they do a whole episode on it.
I think they do. I completely forgot.
All right, Joe, you want to say the ending?
So Katara and Sokka, they this is also important because it comes up later. But the original Earthbenders are moles under the
Hmm.
palace. But they work with and help Sokka and Katara get to Aang, who is fighting Boomy and basically has to prove to Boomy that he's going to do the right thing. He's going to, live up to his name and be the Avatar and everything like that. And it's actually that was a really good fight. I enjoyed that fight
Hmm.
because Boomy is super powerful.
He's
And
I'm telling
then,
you, one of the strongest ones.
like I said, Jet's plan gets messed up. Um, How did this one up? How did
With
this end?
Izuku rescuing his uncle.
Oh yeah. Zuku. So the uncle and Zuku were in the town, and they were trying to capture the Avatar. Jet's people helped until Aang got captured, but then the uncle got captured to save his nephew. Then the nephew comes back to save his uncle, and like he was definitely on a mission for that. Like,
And the uncle knew
but I
it
mean,
too because he was leaving a trail for Zuku to follow.
yeah.
Mhm.
Well, the uncle showed for a second in town though how powerful he really is, and
Yeah.
he's going to show that off a little bit
Yeah.
later down the road too. That dude is that's why he got the Red Dragon as a nickname, because that dude don't mess around. As goofy as he seems, but
No,
so yeah, he saves the uncle, and then I think they still trying to get to the northern tribe, but
Yeah,
I think
they
they got
flew
no.
off.
Yeah, so they flew off.
And
Zuku's still
Zuku
hot
saw
on
them.
his trail.
He
Yeah,
saw them. He saw them fly off, but he wanted to get his uncle. His uncle got injured. He got stabbed, and he
yep.
wanted to get him back to the ship.
So he saves him, and that's going to set up the next 2 episodes. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I think the next episode, what is it? 5 and 6. I think 6
Yeah.
has some significant part in it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Angel, know what I'm talking about, but yeah.
All right. You guys got anything else?
No, I'm enjoying this series. I'm enjoying rewatching it, because I watched the whole thing and now I'm just rewatching it, and then
Yeah, I just rewatch it now.
really-
It's just so good. Every time I keep watching it, I keep trying to find different things that I didn't notice before.
I'm quite sure you guys probably do find different things when you rewatch
Yeah,
it.
I have. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Any closing remarks?
No, I'm good, man.
I'm all good.
All right, everybody. Stay safe. Stay strong. We'll holler at you next week, and I will play our music.
Disaster must come. At best, only postponed. Shaolin Kung Fu, to survive, must now be taught to more young men.